Hey guys, this is a new video which is called Drawing Hands. I haven't done a video in a while, and of course I haven't posted one in a while, so this is something that's quite new to me. So I got these two pencils which I would be using for illustrating, and of course they're from Staedtler. Additionally, I am going to be utilizing one of the Spider-Man comics I have, Miles Morales. This will be used as reference since I can't reliably trust myself in being able to draw hands perfectly and all that. And of course, this is a learning journey for myself, of course. So of course, I'll be only drawing specifically hands. I will be drawing some faces or so, but only if I get around to it. So, starting off, we're of course seeing me draw hands as usual, yes. And when I was coming to, of course, make this video, I am just gonna make some random comments, planning to just test around how am I going to make this video and how am I going to approach the audio, visual, but also the drawing aspect on how these videos should be made, because I'm thinking about doing this every single 1 or 2 weeks. So now that's underway, yes, so I am making these videos, of course, because I want to keep track of how, of course, I illustrate and draw traditionally and all that. And of course, it allows me to stop procrastinating a bit and kind of keep focused with whatever time limit I have and whatnot. I'm trying to figure out what I'm trying to say next, but when I'm thinking about these videos, I should have at least like a script that's going to describe more or less what I'm going to say and all that, commentary and whatnot. Oh yes, but fairly more enough that when it comes to drawing especially, I have a knack of trying to avoid myself from getting art block, and one thing I do is try to draw anything that's around. If I get stuck on one thing, I have to move to another instantly. If I constantly ponder on one thing to illustrate, it of course drags me down because I'm of course stagnating more or less. I'm spending so much time on the little things rather than the whole big picture. And that's the same for my digital illustrations as well. I kind of spend so much time with it that the power of the fact that I can have more detail in my artworks taken away more of the overall aspect of what I'm trying to illustrate. So that's why my composition kind of is a so-so as of this moment and all that. But when it comes to drawing, as for traditional especially, I of course have a tendency of lacking control in how I use the pencil and all that. And by doing these videos, of course, it allows me to kind of keep track of how my hand, of course, is used and how my technique, more or less, to guide my pencil is utilized in order to create whatever art I'm sketching up or whatnot. Man, I should actually really have a script on kind of what I should be saying. That way that I'm not just randomly blurting out comments and whatnot. Yes, but back to the illustration. You can see that I'm kind of not really, what do you call that? I'm not really consistent with how I illustrate my hands because I kind of lack a consistency of keeping to a certain style. That's because I'm still exploring, more or less. It's only been 1 year since I've been doing traditional art. 1 year, sorry, for digital art. So, of course, I've been compressing what I can learn within a very short time frame. Now, one problem I have with, of course, drawing especially, is that I can't keep things consistently. I'm constantly trying to imitate lifelike illustrations of of hands, anatomy, and all that without actually taking a more expressive form, which I am trying to aim for. And of course, this is stemming of the fact that I am not a very, very confident portrait artist. When I grew up, I'm more or less a painter, and whatnot towards landscapes and still life. So I haven't had a really extensive background when it comes to portraits, but I kind of, over the 2 years since I started when I was in year 12, I overall adapted to being able to draw portraits and all that. But in a sense, I'm kind of stubborn when it comes to being able to illustrate things expressively. So I'm often not releasing a lot of artworks online and all that, and restudying a certain technique over and over again, even though it's just because I always aim to make whatever I study look good in the end, which is kind of unhealthy, especially because you're trying to illustrate an artwork with a certain style, and you should be able to express and experiment whatever artwork you're making and whatever forms you're trying to achieve, which is crucial from what I think when it comes to progressing in art. So also in the video you can see me also trying to experiment with weighted lines. So since Supernova, I knew a few guys, and especially this friend of mine that I met at the Apple store. I'll call him for Dan right now, but he told me I should more or less learn how to use weighted lines, which I also thought was a crucial aspect that I need to learn when it comes to drawing comics, being able to sketch with response to your lighting environment and whatnot. Before I was just using very light pencils, trying to get the impression of like form and all that, but I wasn't really considering lighting because I hated shading. Like one thing, I hated drawing one thing traditionally, especially in pencil, for a very long time. When it comes to painting, it's a different story because I'm dealing with color, but in terms of using pencil and trying to establish your values, I'm really impatient when it comes to that stuff. So I tend to do a very, very rough shade, which often just makes it look really, really bad. But I have to be able to deal with considering time and considering the duration, the journey more or less, when it comes to illustrating with pencil or any form of ink and what's or not. Man, I should get a real script for this because I'm actually just making random comments along the video. But hey, it's part of the journey. Alright. Okay, so in this bit I'm using one of the last scenes from the comic, and I'm trying to really get the hand gesture. But since my camera setup is very uncomfortable, since I am practically right next to the camera, my hand position isn't as comfortable, so my lines are way too jagged, or I'm just making lines over lines, which I'm trying to avoid lately and all. Let's see. I think I should get a bigger pencil grip, because the pencil grip for these Staedtler pencils are quite thin, and I'm trying to aim for something that looks very similar to a Wacom pen, because the Wacom pens have a very thick grip, and that type of grip is it feels good to hold firstly, and when you are illustrating with lines and all that, you want to keep it steady, and when you have a bigger grip, it feels like I have more control compared to a smaller grip where sometimes my wrist takes over and all that. But when it comes to illustrating certain lines, I try to use my whole arm, but with a smaller grip with the Staedtler pencils, it just makes it very uncomfortable. So yeah. So I think that kind of concludes for the vid for now. If you'd like to see more, please give up a like. Not really used to saying that stuff yet, but I'll see if I can upload every week or two. So yeah, and as always, this is Mr. I. Thanks for watching.